Our next speaker is a self-employed contractor and active resident of South Kingstown. He has served on several subcommittees for the school district and sat on the school committee for a brief period. He is a percussionist in the Wakefield Concert Band, which he is acting vice president of. Teaching us how to feed our heads this evening, please join me in welcoming Keith Vorhaben to the stage.
Thank you. I'm Keith Vorhaben, and I'm going to start with candy. What I'm going to try to do is make you more discerning consumers of information. We all have favorite candies. I like gummy bears. We celebrate our holidays with them. We reward our children with them. But none of us mistake it for a nutritional diet. It's something we enjoy, but a nutritional diet is really what we understand we need to put in our bodies to be healthy, productive people. And in the past 100 years or so, our food has kind of gone through some changes to the point where we need a nutritional label to really inform us on exactly what we're putting into our bodies. So I would suggest that the information we consume has gone through a similar change, and unfortunately it doesn't have that same label. We started getting information from newspapers, and then we went to radio, and then we went to TV, and then we went to cable TV, and we went to internet, and we have this onslaught of information. And how exactly do we discern what's good information and what's bad information? In times past, we had editors, which played a really important role in filtering that information and in disseminating it to us. We used to have news programs that would be an hour at the end of the day, and now we have 24-hour news feeds. And I'm constantly curious about what a 24-hour news feed have done with the JFK assassination. Dan Rather was covering it, followed the ambulance to the hospital, and was trying to get some statement from the hospital to identify what exactly took place. And he couldn't quite get that. He could get some inferences and some information and passed it on to Walter Cronkite, who sat on that information for almost a half hour. I'd suggest that nowadays they wouldn't have. I would suggest they probably would have been spitting out information constantly. Walter Cronkite understood that information does not constitute knowledge. It's part of knowledge, but it is not in and of itself knowledge. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to give you information about a story, and let's see what type of knowledge we can discern from it. I'm going to start with a truck pulling up to a residence, and some guys getting out of it, and apparently good-looking guys. But these guys have weapons, and they break down the door to this home, locate the occupant, remove him from the residency, and the occupant does not live through the experience. So based on that information, you could easily go, Keith, that sounds a lot like a Benghazi type situation. That sounds like terrorists. Well, let me give you some more information. What if I said it happened in the United States? And you'd probably say, well, Keith, that sounds like gang. That sounds like drive-by shooting. That sounds like whatever. And you might be right, but you're not. What if I told you not only did it happen in the United States, what if I told you it happened right here in this town? And that's curious. That's a whole lot of information, and maybe some of you are figuring it out, and maybe some of you aren't. So let me give you some more information. It's a true story, and it was reported right in our local newspaper. So with all that information, you can come up with some curious things. But despite all that information, you really haven't gotten the knowledgeable part of the story. And that's because I left out some information. And it's that it was a fire truck, and that there were firemen, and that the home was on fire, and unfortunately the resident fell prey to the fire. So you can see how having information doesn't necessitate the knowledge. And I wouldn't suggest that someone would be so nefarious that they would actually try to mislead you into a fireman being a terrorist. But I would submit to you that I think there are organizations that may want to sway your opinion. And they can do that by just leaving a little something out, or maybe putting a little something in, or changing it up, So we need to be discerning consumers of information. And I thought hard about what can I provide you that you can leave here with some way to be more discerning. And think of the information you feed your head as the food that you feed your body. Know where it's coming from. Have a diverse source of information the way you have a diverse source of food. Because if you're not careful about the information you're consuming, you can end up inadvertently filling your head with Twinkies. Thank you.